here we go again. This was definitely an impromptu live tonight. Um, I had been thinking about doing one tonight, but then had other things I had to do. But then I was like, Melissa, on there. So thank you for all you guys that are, of course, caring about the Sebastian Rogers case and stuff like that. And so, come back to you. Hey, Judith. I think you like to have that name just because it messes with the brain. Can't even pronounce it. Hi, telling the truth. How are you? And American Justice, and American Justice. She's streaming this to her live as well. She's gonna start getting her channel up and going there as well. So whenever you want to drop your link there, you can, of course, so people can go subscribe to you. Um, so thanks, Melissa, for joining again. And when I wait, just to ask you, are you going to be showing your face at all today?
Yes, I will be on camera in just a moment.
Okay, then. So, I was saying this for a couple lives about, um, the Sebastian Rogers case. Like, you know, to be fair, just to try to be fair, to look at it from the side of, are we being too hard on the Proudfoots? I can't even say that with a straight face, to be honest with you. Um, Hello, Melissa. But so that's, well, we're going to talk about different things tonight, but we're going to talk about that. Um, Now, Melissa, uh, just quickly as well. Um, so we're going to be doing a live on Saturday. And if you can just tell people what we're going to be doing a live on.
So I have been researching and compiling a bunch of stuff on the Evansdale murders. That is the murder of Lyric and Elizabeth. They went missing in July. They were found in December. Their killer has yet to be caught. So I'm going to be doing a live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you and I, on Saturday to go over that case.
Yeah. So anyone that's kind of followed Delphi, followed that will definitely know about Lyric and Elizabeth. Heck, my face looks so like red as if I'm tired or something. I think I'm warm. But anyways, yeah, so I will admittedly say to that case, I have looked at it. I have read about it. There was a point in time where, I really did go back and look at it. And it was, a lot of people thought it was very similar to Delphi and thought that perhaps the same person that took the lives of Abby and Libby took the lives of Elizabeth and Lyric there. And, but I can't say that I've deep dived into it. I know True Crime Web Steve has, and Ruckus, I believe, and some other channels as well. But it's definitely a case that I'm looking forward to talking about because it is one of those ones that was really attached to Delphi. So, so like I said, well, I'll probably do another live before then anyway and mention it again. But as for that, that will be your first live stream. We're gonna live stream, and then I'll stream it on here as well. And yeah, and so that's another very sad case where those two children's lives were taken and still not solved. You know, we got Karina McClurkin's case solved pretty much. Abby and Libby's. So at least you know, cases sometimes that you thought might not get solved for a long time, if ever, those ones have come. Still would be nice for answers for the Flora girls as well, and for Elizabeth and Lyric. Just really sad when it comes to these cases on there. Okay, so tonight's topic, for the most part, or part of it anyway, we're gonna talk about the Proudfoots, and if we're being too hard, and you guys don't forget to answer that poll that's up there as well. So let's just start off by seeing what Uda Hefa says. Okay. I voted for fish only because I don't really understand the ins and outs of this case. So basically, he says flip flop like a fish. I mean, I definitely don't think anyone is being too hard on them. If they have information, they need to cough it up. And good question here. Does anyone have a motive to take him? Right. And he says, I mean, when it comes, oh, maybe I'm not sure if you're a she or he, to be honest. I shouldn't assume. I mean, when it comes to the kids, trafficking is always a potential motive. But other than that, maybe some incident occurred that they need to cover up. And hello, telling the truth. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And now, all these YouTubers be worshiping. I know, right? Um, Not you guys, but I mean, yeah, on there. So, and that's just it, right? I mean, um, there's another YouTuber too, and that um, I'm working to do a live with her as well, and which would be Sweetie Pie Low. So I'm just in talks with her, um, because she was from the Suzanne Morphew case, and I always love Sweetie Pie Low. She's a really sweet woman, and she always has a lot of common sense, and Uh, whenever I listen to her videos, it's like listening to a soul sister talk about this case, you know, and how frustrating it's been. How many people, like, even if you took Sebastian out of the equation, you know, would anyone want Christopher Proudfoot to be their child? Would you want Christopher Proudfoot looking after your child in any which way, shape, or form, right? Because of the CPS reports, because of exactly the things that he has, said about in regards to Sebastian, with the belt and, just taking away his snakes and just, that almost like that. Granted, he was in the military, but, you know, but the thing is that are we being too hard on them? What do you think, Melissa? Like, for like, okay, even if we don't like, say, Christopher Proudfoot's personality and whatever, and don't perhaps agree with the way that we see Katie handling the case, do you think that the public or whatever is being too hard on them?
I have to say no, because they have been very distanced, I guess is the word I want to use, from
Yeah.
the searches and from the vigils. And, you know, she is the last person to be seen with him. So it's only natural that we have questions. And when I
Oh,
went back to the beginning, I really did feel bad for her.
my camera dropped.
But
Hold on.
as of now, no. Too much stuff has come out. And I mean, it's only natural that we're going to question. I mean, I feel like she has the keys and key to this investigation. And I will stick with that until we're proven that she's being cooperative, because I don't see them being cooperative.
Udif brings up a good point there too. Like, if we were to look at this case, right? You guys that are in chat, put your opinions down. If you think you guys can feel free to say whatever you want. Don't attack other people though in the chat and stuff like that. But if you have a direct comment that you want to make regarding the Proudfoots, you can say whatever your little heart's content. It's really about, if you feel like we're being too hard. If you do, then say so. If you don't, then say so. And other than that, so what was I just going to say though? I lost my train of thought after that. I was on a mission. Oh, you'd have had a good point. So from the outside looking in, what possible motive? So if Sebastian isn't deemed as a runaway now, what possible motive might you see? Do you see, and we don't want to say the word because of YouTube, but S trafficking? Do you see that at all in the picture?
I personally don't know.
Does anybody else?
Mostly because of his age.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the S trafficking that you see is a prepubescent, or 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
I think he's a little too old for that. I think it's more along the lines of it was either premeditated or some kind of accident that's being covered up.
Okay. So, because I mean, I personally don't see that either. I remember, on other lives and that, I looked around for known, say, pedos in the area. There was two that were at least registered. And, one was about 5 minute drive, another one was about 10. But yeah, I'm not seeing that whatsoever. Now, I do want to say that I know on Twitter, but I'm not about to put this out myself yet, like meaning a comparison picture until I actually compare pictures to whatever, to the green hoodie person. But there is this picture that's going around on Twitter, and I showed Melissa it, and it's a picture of a relative of the Proudfoots that has since passed away in November. And because that hoodie, I believe, is deemed to be a female, um, and let me just say, this person that passed away had cancer. Um, so I can definitely say that when a guy and a female look like what I call a he she, when you almost don't even know, because I mean, obviously the footage is really hard to kind of, what I mean. It's not like you got a clear on picture of the green hoodie person. Um, so let me put it this way: would it make sense that a relative walked up to Katie? You know, would it make sense that a relative walked to the car and that was the person standing there? Okay, so why wouldn't that make sense?
Well, for me, it doesn't make sense because to an extent, it would have made sense. It would have made sense if it were a relative. They walked up to the car, realized it was Katie Proudfoot's car, realized she wasn't in it, knowing she's inside, would have went inside, not stood there for a minute or two, and not left within 10 seconds of them coming out. Now, if the person was at the car for 10 seconds and then stood there for 2 minutes when they come out, it would have made more sense to me for it to be a relative. And that's my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the timing is off for it to be a relative of Katie's. I think it's more likely that that person knew the person in the car beside them or was waiting for them for some other reason.
I think that whole standing beside the vehicle is an odd situation for sure. I just want to say that I don't care. I don't typically eat on lives, but this orange, I love my mandarin oranges, and I don't care, and I'm eating it. Um, Possibility, certain Irish girl. I would keep everything on the table if we truly don't know at this time. Got to keep everything on the table, absolutely, because we don't know. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Um, Telling the truth says Proudfoots deserve everything they are getting. Katie wanted a girl, not a boy. Sebastian was in an inconvenience to them. Katie wanted nobody to have him if she couldn't. Very spiteful towards Seth. Okay, thank you, telling the truth. And again, just say your feelings, people. I feel like I can smell that orange. Well, not gonna lie, I got me my orange juice too. I love the reason why I love oranges and orange juice. Oh my goodness! See, look it. Hold on, 1 sec. Fix that again. Okay, so the reason maybe that's a little too much. Okay, stay there. The reason I because this freaking glass weighs a ton. So every time I put it down on my computer desk, it bobbles my camera off top of my monitor here. So you're gonna have to go over here instead. Drink. Anyways, do love me my orange. But anyways, my mandarin oranges. Except for they were mostly shitty this year. The mandarin oranges, just saying. At least over here. But you're double fisting the oranges tonight. Well, I mean, I got one and I got one besides, so I'm probably triple fisting, to be honest with you. Oops, I think it's a little too high. 1 sec. Maybe just down a little bit more. There we go. I don't feel like I'm sitting up at the sky. But anyways, um, so going back to the green hoodie person. So I find that a very odd thing. If there's nobody in the vehicle beside there and there's no reason for that person to be standing there, I definitely find that odd. Now, in saying this, the reason So I know that they've come out and they've cleared the green hoodie guy and stuff like that. Um, Although I still find it very odd this person standing near a vehicle if there's nobody inside the other vehicle. But it would really determine, because if you think that Katie had planned this and did a quick pass off of something, right? Because remember, this person's walking and then they kind of, and they remember they're walking in this direction and then they veer off between the cars there, right? And I believe it is a female, by the way. Um, but anyways, so if someone like Sebastian Rogers, he did not Houdini out of there. He did not get on a magic carpet ride. No alien ship came down and got him. It's not like he rode off on horse and stuff like that. Something happened to Sebastian. So it's either the Proudfoots had something to do with it and planned it, right? It was either the Proudfoots or perhaps singular, meaning Katie Proudfoot, you know, or some, like I said, third party. And a lot of people feel like if it was a third party, that it was someone known to Sebastian. Because all you can think about in your head, right, guys, is that, hold on a second. So his room's at the front of the house. They're saying he didn't go out the window and that there's screens on the window. Even though I know you can lift them up and down and stuff, like, you know what I mean, take them off. But really, pretty sure his mom. But again, let's hear some truth about whether or not Katie was sleeping truly or not, because something's off about that whole storyline about them saying that Katie was sleeping, meaning on Duchess Live, and then we see this in another comment from the neighbor saying that that's what Katie said, that she had fallen asleep, whatever. So, anyways, bottom line is that I think most of us have in our head the picture of the house with Sebastian's window, the front door, and you think, if anything, that if he did leave without shoes, it would have been through his window because he was, say, sneaking out, taking off or whatever. Or, someone came up to his window, tap, 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 like Sebastian, come on, right? But nowhere do we feel like he just went out the front door without shoes, that he went right by and decided to lock the door on his way out. Nowhere in my head does that make sense. So if by chance Green Hoodie, just by chance, did have something to do with it, a pre-plan of knowing whatever, right? I mean, that's a possibility, but I mean, don't get me wrong, the LE have cleared Green Hoodie, but still there's just something really, like, a weird day just turns weirder type of thing, right? Spaghetti pancakes. Fun fact. Never forget that one. Fun fact. My kid's missing, but fun fact. I made him spaghetti pancakes. Like, it's just the fact that when she was doing that interview with Chronicles of Olivia, like, she literally, you're talking about your son missing and you're like, fun fact, just so you guys know, I made my son spaghetti pancakes. Like, that's not something I would probably think to say. Like, if I was chilling on a live and my son was just fine, I might say, fun fact, I made spaghetti pancake breakfast. But I'm just talking about when you add weirdness to weirdness to weirdness, and then the child disappears. Okay, I would like to know if they regularly talked on the phone for 3 hours a night or just that night. Well, according to, you know, uh, Katie and Chris, right? Like, that was a normal thing to do because if he's working away, and I can associate with that because I'm that connected to my husband that I would be doing the same thing. Well, I don't really do that anymore, but because when my husband was away, but my husband's barely away. But I talk to him for about 15, 20 minutes and then be like, okay, but I can totally see talking to him for 2 and 3 hours if I'm missing him and we're just chatting and chilling type of thing. So, and plus, oh yeah, but I want to correct this. Please, Diamond, please don't say 3 hours because the phone call was 2 hours to 2:15, 2 hours and 15 minutes at best. It was more like a 2 hour phone call. Like if we're using what Christopher Proudfoot said, I just said, I'm always about facts. So if we're going to talk about something in a sense that we know what has been said, then we know Christopher Proudfoot said 9:43 and 9:46 and close to 12, right? So that's quarter to 10 to quarter to 12 basically. So that's 2 hours. It's not a 3 hour phone call because there's a huge difference in saying 2 hours to 3 hours in a sense. It's still long, but it wasn't 3 hours. So just on that one. That's kind of my pet peeve of this case, that for some reason people kept running with 3 hours. I think a lot of people kind of thought 2 hours and 45 minute phone call in their head, and then people just kind of keep saying that now, for the 3 hours. Remember, called Nana right away. I'm telling you, this was planned so he could get his daughter. You know, Charles, uh, do you remember on that live on Trev Time when Nina was talking? And do you remember that specific point when Nina was about, well, when Nina said that Christopher uh, was going to tell me something, and she just basically shut him down? And so, and then she said, I wish I would have, let him talk to see what he has to say, because it's almost like it came across almost like that he was gonna like open up or to confess about something, right? Who knows what it is, because she never got to know what it was because she had shut him down. But doesn't that kind of bug you sometimes, because you want to know what Christopher Proudfoot was actually going to say to her, you know? And if anyone watched Nina, I think most people, especially like me, I have been in very abusive relationships a lot of my life, not anymore. But anyways, so I can totally associate when I'm watching somebody that's talking about domestic violence and how somebody is. And this to me is pretty much clear cut and dried, that Christopher Proudfoot has the personality of someone that is very unlikable. Uh, Whether he agrees or not, he might like himself a whole ton, but he has a very unlikable personality. And then you have Nina, like I said, who's telling her story, and I can exactly feel her emotions when she was talking and how she was feeling. Have you ever been in a domestic violence relationship, Melissa? And
Yes, actually.
mhm. um, did you watch that interview with Nina at all?
Yeah, I watched it back when it first came out. It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, I
Yeah,
did watch it.
but
But
meaning,
yeah, my both of my ex-husbands were abusive. I actually left my first ex-husband when he pulled a gun, put it to my head, and pulled the trigger, and all I heard was the gun jam. So
oh right, I
yeah,
think you were mentioning that on a few lives ago on there. Um, and so yeah, so it's like, but there was that one point where Nina said like that Christopher was going to tell her something, but she was just like, I don't want to hear it, type of thing, blah 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 blah, and she, of course, in hindsight, regrets it, um, because who knows what dish could have happened then, and again, like I want to just quickly look at the poll, even though I know it's just kind of started here, but whatever. Okay, so 78% say no, they are too sketchy. 11%, yes, they have feelings too. I flip flop like a fish, 11%. And the last one, it's not them, but a third party is at 0%. So that's kind of shaping up to tell you the gist of that, of course. And high reach of the sky. No, sorry. Reach full the sky. Not just reach for, but reach full the sky. You got to say it cool like that. You got to be cool like me. Hmm. Um, mm. Oranges, however, at this moment were more important. Sorry. I was craving something to eat. It's been a busy day for me today. Um, so what do you think? Okay. Who else do you think, like, who would have a motive, or what other motive, you guys, could there be for Sebastian's disappearance because something happened to him. You know, what other motive do you think someone might have that's going to take a 15-year-old autistic child? Can't think of
For
anything
me,
besides.
I keep coming back to it was an accident. Maybe they got into it and it was a accident, or if it were premeditated, it's a you're not going to go to your dad's. If I can't have you, nobody can, or you're not going to spill what's going on in this house. Those are
So,
really my top two right now.
so if it was an accident, how would Katie get him out of the house in only 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops, and take a dead body and go conceal it um, in 20 minutes time? Because obviously a neighbor would have said if there was video footage of Katie's car leaving, but there is a neighbor saying, yes, her car left at like 6 something or whatever in the morning there.
Which is, we already knew that her car left because she went and quote unquote searched for him. I feel it was more of a premeditated deal due to the fact of as I call it, the yes day,
Yeah.
where she did kind of everything he liked and took him all these places and made breakfast, which is clearly unusual because he called family to brag about the fact that mom made him breakfast. So for
That's
me, my number one is it was premeditated.
right. But so go,
And
but we have, go ahead.
and so way further down than that is it was an accident. So like premeditated is here and an accident is down here.
Mhm. But
Because it doesn't make any sense for it to be an accident and her have it in her head where she can put him in 15 minutes.
well, this is a thing, right? Is that in the things that we're talking about, then we would have to determine if there's no video footage, but there is video footage of her car leaving in the morning for about 15 or 20 minutes to go check at the school, and the neighbor can confirm that that was on the thing, the one that said that the time that the window, his light turned off was at 9:08, right? Which Sweetie Pie Low had spoken to. So if it and Bobby said that as well, that the neighbor, like Bobby, the neighborhood lady, so if she said that as well, um exact, so that's just the thing, is that we all know that, you know people put their kids in the trunk, do all this stuff, but because this time frame, because there's no other footage about her leaving the home, what, so then how could possibly, what could she have possibly have done in that short a period of time, and the searchers couldn't find a child anywhere? That's because you have to, if we're going to think something, we obviously have to think, well, how did she accomplish that? Right? Using, like I said, what we have at our disposal for information. So then it becomes, okay, again, are we being too hard on the Proudfoots? Is it because she didn't have anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance? Hence why we can't make any really conclusion about that, because there's nothing to support that, to back that up. Because obviously you're not going to be able to accomplish that, in 15, 20 minutes time. Hand them off to somebody perhaps in that time, but then you start thinking about the shoes. So even if she were to hand him off to somebody, like, this is the missing
I
puzzle
mean,
piece right here, because the shoes, right? Everything revolves around these shoes that he supposedly didn't have. And it was Seth who pointed it out, that, well, his 3 shoes are here. So, well, where's Sebastian if his 3 like, right? And so again, in your head, you're going, well, did he have flip flops? But apparently he didn't have any, according to Katie. Did he have slippers? You know, like, so even if she, say, handed him off to somebody, if you're going to say that your kids run away, you're gonna hide a pair of his shoes to make it seem like it's so odd to sit there and think that he ran away and didn't have shoes on. So if they had something to do with it, you would think that then a pair of those shoes would have gone missing with him to make it seem like he ran away.
You would think, but that
And
is
then
if
second,
they were smart enough to think
mm-hmm. Well, that one's kind of a given, though,
that
don't
far
you?
ahead. I mean, I personally, I watch enough crime shows. If I'm going to make somebody disappear, they're going to take their purse, their phone, their keys.
Right,
They're going to take stuff, you know.
right.
But if they're not smart enough to think ahead, oh, well, people are going to wonder about shoes. I mean, if it was a premeditated thing, which in my mind it is, you would think that they would think that. But, I don't know that they want to be the smartest people in the room, but I don't think that
Well,
they're covering their tracks very well.
I think that they are if they have something to do with it. I think that they are very smart. I think both of them are very bright. Christopher Proudfoot to me is a snake in the grass. I think he's very deceptive. I think he's very smart. And I think Katie is too. And hence, if they had something to do with it, that's why that they haven't had any clue what's happened to Sebastian. Maybe circumstantial stuff, perhaps they have, but they got no clues, right? So I actually do believe that the both of them are very smart, meaning I don't think that they're smart. So if they had something to do with it, okay, if they did, publicly to the perception of us, no, right? So it's easy to plan something when you're not in front of the public and you're doing it secretly. But when you have to go to the public, so if they had something to do with it, then this portrayal that they've been showing is not smart. It has been a far cry from smart. So it's one of I think it always reminds me of one of these things is that when people have something in their head, like I'm going to go, um, commit murder to somebody or whatever, and they got it all planned out how it's going to go. And of course, it doesn't go to exactly how they have it planned because they think it. When I'll picture a good trip you're going to go on, and then it turns out to be, like shittier than what you had in your head, like that type of idea. And so if they did, and again, in chat, you know, motive, if you guys think of a motive, are we being too hard on Christopher and Katie? Are they just projecting themselves, in the worst light, but really had nothing to do with Sebastian's disappearance? Because this is the part that just blows me away, is the fact that in this day and age and this technology and all these Ring doorbell cameras and all this stuff, that there's nothing at all. Hence why Ali, hasn't either arrested anyone or can't find Sebastian. In this day and age, that we literally have to picture as if Sebastian just poof disappeared, because we can't place Katie, according to what we know, we can't place Katie out of the home more than 15, 20 minutes, doing the drive thing. And then Chris telling her to come back home, because the cops are going to be there in 10 minutes, right? So if there's no footage of the vehicle moving, and then, okay, so then the buck stops right there. So what could Katie have done in 15, 20 minutes time to get rid of a son, massive search happening and all that stuff, So, yeah, I mean, you look at it, if Christopher Proudfoot's in Memphis and they have knowledge of that, meaning like not just to the public, but that Ali has knowledge that he was literally in Memphis, on the phone. Does that mean he didn't have anything to do with it? Or is it Katie that had something to do with it because her marriage was failing to Christopher? Shocker on the fifth marriage there, Christopher. Just saying. I don't feel like I'm being too hard on you on that one, to be honest. But, because, I mean, there's times that I sit there and I feel good. I start feeling bad because, If they had literally nothing to do with it, and all this venom and hate has been projected on them, and yet it comes to fruition that they had nothing to do with it, internally, I would feel like shit, you know, just because, when people are going through grief, and I know there's people that are odd and do stuff like that, but when people are going through grief, you know, it's just one of those things is that, like the Delphi case, is that when the family gets targeted and they had nothing to do with it, like Kelsey and, Becky and all that. And it's kind of one of those things like, if they had nothing to do with it and people are projecting all that them, and so on top of the grief they're defending themselves, being made to look bad in the public and stuff like that. I mean, it is very hurtful for sure. But let's see. If my son was missing, I would be telling everyone. And I absolutely agree with that, Charles. It's the way I would work for sure. No video of her driving off with him. No video of him walking off, right? Maybe handed off. They had their last big day together. Probably bought him new shoes for that day. You know what? Maybe Katie did.
It's
But
a possibility.
it's possible that they like, meaning it's possible that Ellie didn't even think. Did they check her credit cards or anything? Any sort of purchase on the Interact? You know, that she did purchase him some new shoes that day, and it's something that they never ever thought to look at. I mean, it's very possible because every time you think that they would do certain things like this, that they don't. So is it possible she did? Because it just seems so crazy, this whole no shoe thing. Like, I can see a child running out the door because they're pissed off at their parent, without their shoes on, and taking off because they're mad because, like, just instant angry and taking off out the door. I can see that. I don't see myself at any point leaving my home to run away, to go outside anywhere else without my shoes on and be missing, type of thing. So that's like so strange, but yet I don't think that Katie and Chris would be stupid enough, I would think, would be stupid enough to sit there and to literally not think that if you're going to deem your child is running away, that some shoes shouldn't go with the child, instead of saying that all his shoes are there. you know it's just it's an oddity to something that doesn't make sense in favor of the Proudfoots on that one, because it's kind of a really stupid thing to overlook, that you're gonna, like, you know what I mean, like, here, let me make my child go missing, but you know what, let's just keep all his shoes here.
Well, think about how many
Daniel.
women go missing because of their husbands, right? And how many times the purse is left behind and the keys are left behind and shoes are left behind and clothes are
Mm-hmm.
left behind. And they're like, yeah, they didn't take anything with them, but they left me. It doesn't make any sense. So
Mm-hmm.
for us to call out an oddity of their story, I don't think is being too hard, because you always look at the family first. Even law enforcement, they look at the family first. And, there had to be a probable cause affidavit to get the search warrant to search that landfill. What was in that probable cause affidavit? That a judge and an attorney looked at it and said, yes, that is enough evidence for us to
Sharon.
go shut down and look at a landfill for days. There was something in there. What was it? And for
Well,
me, that goes against the Proudfoots, because there had to be evidence. There had to be, as Christopher Proudfoot likes to put it, facts in there.
you know why they went to look there, right? Do you remember the reason why?
I don't exactly remember the reason why. I know that if it were me, I would wonder if she didn't put him in the trash can and have the trash truck pick him up that morning.
The reason why they went to go look is because because of the child missing, and the garbage workers thought that the garbage felt heavier than normal. That's why. Now, then when you listen to Jennifer Coffindaffer talk about it on when she was on our live, she had said that like that takes weeks. So it's like they went to a specific spot, which where their garbage would be allotted to. But she said a typical search would like literally take weeks to go through. So did he get missed? Did he get
I
missed?
feel like he did. I feel like he got missed. And somebody said it the other day in one of the lives that we did, and they said
Well,
if the Proudfoots are innocent, they're the guiltiest innocent people ever. And that's because of the way they're acting. And if you want to act guilty, don't get mad when we assume and try to put facts together to make your story make sense that you're putting out, because you're acting guilty and making us think that you're guilty.
um, well, exactly. Now, question, because I was on the same impression that Carolyn is right here. Yes, what was it? I thought it was from the construction site, because you guys, who remembers this now? Because my head's kind of blocked on this, because I remember when it came out that at first, is like I'm just telling you how I recall this, that we thought, like they're checking the dump. But then I thought we found out that it wasn't the Proudfoots, but it was the construction site garbage dump. So which is it, you guys? Because I thought I remember too that it was a construction site dump that they checked, and hence why they had to cross over to the other state there.
The only thing I remember from it and remember hearing, and I wish I would have thought before the live to pull this up,
Mhm.
they said that the Proudfoots trash was not taken to its normal spot. It was taken to another area, which was different than where it would have been taken prior. And I remember them saying that the garbage truck people thought that the trash was heavier, and that's why they searched it. And then, two, okay, it's heavier. The garbage is heavier. They search a landfill. Within days of that landfill is on fire.
Mhm.
I find that suspicious
Oh yeah,
because,
I think.
landfills don't just catch fire.
Mhm. I was gonna say I'm gonna have to look back into that one, because that one does come up in my brain, because I just remember it being the construction site dump versus the home one. But Jennifer said the home one. Um, Now, Diamond. So although I personally am not like, I'll hate to say it this way, but it's the way I'm gonna say it. So I'm not a Bible person or thumper or whatever you want to call it, Bible, whatever it is. Um, I went to church when I was younger and stuff like that, but I am of no particular religion at all. My mom never did that. She just sent us to church to get us out of her hair. That's the reason why she sent us to church. But I respect that, meaning that I definitely respect that part. If you're a Christian or whatever, and the Bible says something like not to judge, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's very true, to be honest with you, right? We so can easily judge people, and yet we don't look at the own shit in our own backyard type of thing. It's very easy to talk about others and be hypocrites to sometimes how we live our own lives and stuff like that. And exactly, and so for me either, it's kind of like I don't know that I've ever done a live where I've never accused Christopher and Katie of having anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance, but there's definitely things that make you look at it for sure. Absolutely. Um, and I think that's just realistic, really, especially when the child was last seen in the mom's arm. And then you have all these other cases to go on where parents do something to their children. So to sit there and outright accuse, say, Katie and Christopher, I learned my lesson from Delphi on that one. Um, and so we can have thoughts, we can think, we can definitely give a stink eye and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we don't have any concrete evidence to say one way or the other. So it wouldn't be fair to outright say that they actually did it versus the possibility for sure of them doing it. But each to their own on how they take it that way, right? Because we all have our own moral compass or non moral compass on how we determine things. And who am I to take away from someone else's thoughts? Besides, I just have my own on that and stuff like that, right? I mean, a lot of people do go around like Summer Wells. It happened instantly, right? They were instantly calling the data murder of Summer Wells, and that was without any facts, you know. And I was like, whoa, like it was crazy actually how fast they came out accusing right off the get go. Like open up the gate and they were off running with that case. But anyways, the biggest problem is we know nothing. Ali isn't sharing. Well, we know something. That's kind of wrong, Carol. We know something, which is we know nothing. So that's something, right? That we know nothing. You know what? We do know. I mean, in all fairness, like Jennifer made a comment that with this case we know a lot of stuff. Well, we do know a lot of things surrounding this case, but where it truly counts to want to know stuff is all the pieces that are missing, unfortunately. Because this, like I had about 5 nightmares last night, you guys. I literally woke up dream after. So I'm a dreamer, but I'll call them more nightmares. But especially when I'm doing something excessively, and because I've been covering the last few nights, Sebastian Rogers, like literally, I go to sleep. And so what puts me to sleep is thinking about what happened to Sebastian Rogers, just like I did with Delphi. All I have to do is think about it. 5 minutes, I'm out like a light. But I remember distinctly waking up about 5 times from literally nightmares. And I couldn't even tell you anymore what those nightmares were, like in regards to, like, if he was showing me something or if something was playing out in my head. All I know is I woke up going, like, oh shit, Sebastian, like what happened to you? There was actually something I was watching that I would like to play again. Evidence and circumstances lean towards them, but I have many questions. You know what? Absolutely. That's just it, right? It's like there's a lot of things that have been guided towards them because there's nothing else around it to show something different, right? And if they're deeming it as a criminal investigation, that he's not a runaway, you know, but that they put out a reward for the person or persons involved in his disappearance, that's huge. So what does Ellie have that that they would come out saying that and doing that? There's got to be something there. But I think the thing that holds this case back even with them is that they're just waiting either for a slip, you know, and some evidence to be able to tie to Sebastian's disappearance. But they don't have that. And it's one of those things where they might have their thoughts, they might have this, but they don't have that piece to the puzzle that they need. Um, Either Sebastian's body, some sort of slip up, something, right? Um, and of course, right, we all know that they're not going to say anything. Next time, when we hear about Sebastian, it will be hopefully that they found him somewhere, that somebody had him, but unfortunately, unfortunately to me, there's nothing about this case where we're going to come out with an answer ourselves, because again, we only know certain things. The one thing I would truly love to know, I would love to have the homeowner of that camera footage to speak, not through somebody, but speak and say exactly, right? I wish, well, I put out to Nick Perez, I messaged him And sometimes Nick Perez will answer, and sometimes he won't. Just depends. Depends if he's like whatever, busy and whatever. But I put out to him again that because I would love to know, and same with Jennifer, right? Was we were talking, right? And no other, and besides everybody else, like even like Mob Crew, right? Like Jennifer's going to be on Mob Crew soon. I asked her, and she's not quite sure what date it's on, but she'll be on there. That will be a huge live, you know. And this whole flashlight, I'm sure, will be very much discussed on it. But you know, at the end of the day, it's whether you disagree or agree with the flashlight garbage truck video or whatever, all you seek is just the truth of it all, right? And that was my point yesterday when we were talking about it, right, Melissa? We just want to know where the truth lies. And so if Nick Perez is sitting in the house, you know, tell me where you got the 310. Was it from the timestamp from the 23rd? Was it not? Because why wouldn't you have said that it was stopped at this time and then had just come out and said 310? So if he's in the house and recording this, I just wanted to go back to ask him, because I remember when I told him it was a garbage truck, you guys, right? I said, well, like Seth and Christopher, they'd come out saying that it was, well, especially Seth first. Chris said it later, but Seth said it first about the garbage truck and being called into the LE to be shown that, right? And I remember when I sent that message to Nick Perez with Channel 5, he said, I don't care. I don't believe it. Now, might be true because he was the one at the person's house with the camera footage, to have seen the whole frame, to have watched the video. He might have taken a recording of that part, but you can guarantee he was in there watching the whole thing and watching it a few times and stuff like that. So anyways, I put that out to him. The math in this case, it just doesn't math. Nope, it doesn't. I believe if you look back, it was a building at the landfill that was on fire, not the landfill itself.
No, the actual landfill itself was on fire, and they came out later and said that they thought that it was flammable waste was what caused the fire. But I'm just gonna say it. Chris Proudfoot worked in construction. He knows what is gonna cause a fire when they get mixed together. I'm not trying to blame them, but what I am saying is what they've done and what they've said is very suspicious. I'm not judging them or anything like that, but what they say and what they've done is extremely suspicious.
That's judging. We are judging. We are absolutely judging. We are making our opinion. But and that's just it, right? Again, it's the actions and all that stuff. So it's kind of like, right? They might have had nothing to do with it, but everything that we've been watching ourselves, that we have seen, is leading to Katie was the last one with her son. So if there's no footage or anything to show anything that he left the house at all, or that somebody didn't take him, somebody wasn't caught on camera somewhere, no vehicle is seen besides the 3:31 and the 3:00 one. Now there was a 3:00 one that went up Kellen Lane to the top. Now SF says, that they know who that car belongs to. Again, it is third-hand information. Doesn't mean that SF, is our, holy grail of Sebastian Rogers' case, by no means, so you take it with a grain of salt, but maybe more of a grain of salt than, somebody, like other people out there that, are just saying it off the top of their tongue. We don't know exactly, like SF is putting it out there that it's a flashlight. So if it's a flashlight coming down, which, could make sense for sure. Meaning, if you look at the video, that could make sense. But then why did Christopher Proudfoot tell Gray Hughes that up top was a fire truck. And then in SF's report, it's a guy that's taking out his garbage 5 minutes too. And also that he's what SF is also saying that the owner is saying is that the garbage truck came into screen right after that part, like the part that we saw from Nick Perez, the part that we saw. Well, it was after that that the garbage truck came into screen, but we only saw the part, of course, that was the flashlight video. So it's one of those things. I'm reading it. Sounds like it could make sense. But then there's things that don't make it sound like it makes sense, because if Gray Hughes was talking to Christopher Proudfoot and then Christopher Proudfoot sends him his overlay and everything and asking him, and Christopher Proudfoot says, like, yeah, that's about right. And although Seth was talking about it, but Seth just said, like, they showed them and he went like this. So where's the truth again? Is it SF that's saying it? Or are we to disregard what Christopher Proudfoot said about the fire truck? Right? And yeah, and why leave your home when a child is missing? What else you got to say over there, Melissa? I want to actually, Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Yeah, just talk for a second. I want to pull up a video I was watching yesterday. Give me a second. And I'm going to pull up.
So I agree with the whole leaving the home. I mean, wasn't it within days that they left their home to go to Yogi Bear? I mean, if your child is missing, I would think you would want to be home or relatively close to your home in case your child was found or your child came home. We go back again. Their actions, her actions particularly, are making them seem guilty. It's like the other day that, they told Smiley's World that Christopher Proudfoot left the home on February 1st, had not been home since. He came home because Sebastian was missing. But Katie Proudfoot said that Christopher Proudfoot seen Sebastian when he came home. Well, how did he see Sebastian when he come home if he came home because Sebastian was missing? I'm not trying to blame them, but their stories don't add up. That's why I don't think that they would have been smart enough to go, we need to take a pair of shoes out, because they didn't think that far ahead. In my opinion, I mean, their actions are what makes me go, I wonder if you did it. And they still don't live at home. Yeah, they've got it for sale. They're living in an apartment.
1 second. Just gonna have to talk to my husband.
So, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, there are people that never change their phone number, never move from the address, don't go on vacations, they stay at home. And I'm not saying that they have to do that, but I wouldn't move out of my home. I wouldn't leave within like a week or whatever it was and go to Yogi Bear and stay in a camper.
It was longer than that for sure.
Because they just make themselves seem guilty.
I mean, 2 days after he came down, like according to him, 2 days after is when he went back up to go get the camper and bring it back down, and that's when it was in the thing. No, but it was like a month or so at least. I have to go. Hi, Miss Persevere. I'd have to go back and look at the timeline of that, but it was definitely, like about a month or so into it, because he obviously, do you remember, you guys, during the Nancy Grace live, besides a couple things, but do you remember when Nancy Grace, and I can't remember it verbatim like I did before, when she asked him about his job, and then he said that he almost lost it, but like they're working things out or whatever, or that he didn't have one or something like that it was. And then full circle in the same interview, she said something like, well, like, why would you leave whatever? And he's like, well, because I have to for my work, my job. And it's just like, wait, dude, did you not remember what you said at the start of this thing when Nancy Grace asked you, and you said you didn't have one, right? That type of thing. And like, because obviously, as this is going on, he's not doing himself any favors by ending up on live streams and stuff like that. But I'd have to play it again. But he totally said, no, he didn't. And then at the end of it, he's like, well, because I had to come back for my job. Do you guys remember that? Mm-hmm. Leaving his home is the biggest red flag. Oh, there's tons of red flags. But, I mean, I'm trying to think in my head. Actually, you know what? I want to play this first, you guys, okay? And like I said, hi, Miss Perfect. Hi, Batgirl. Hope you guys are doing well. But let's play this because I remember listening to this yesterday. It just popped up in my thing, and I know it's from, you know what I love about this clip? Look at the time on it. It says 11:11. 11:11.
Angel numbers.
That's an angel number. And when somebody's talking to you from the heavens. Okay. Anyway, so let me play this. Because I remember going, yeah, I want to play that on the next live.
We want to get to this breaking news right now. I'm Mark Kelly from the WKRN.com alert desk. We're expecting any moment right now an update on the search for that missing teenager, Sebastian Rogers. Let's listen in live.
Here in a few moments, I'll go through some slides and show you what we've done over the past 4 days of searching. Really wanted to come to the community and ask for your help. We need you to search your properties every day, morning and night. If there's a shed or a crawl space or up under your mobile home or a tarp that's in your yard, check it every morning and check it every night. Look for any details that something has been disturbed. If there's a shirt that was there today that wasn't there yesterday, notify us. You can really help us by searching your own property twice a day. Like I said, we're operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked off, and we really need your help to ensure that he is brought home safely.
Okay, and when Chief talks about searching your homes, if you've got a farm, we're well aware that the tendency to follow creeks is great, and we've actually done some case studies, some history on calls and searches in the past where young men or young women have traveled to creeks. So we want you to look at creeks. We want you to look at ponds. And if you look at a pond, look for foot tracks around the pond. And then we'll go into, when Chief's ready, we're going to go into pictures and we'll show you our operational periods and the maps that we use to track our searchers. Okay, so this is day one, and all of the rings you see are a fixed wing aircraft, TBI's fixed winged aircraft, and they use a FLIR, and they do a continual circle on a 2-mile ring. And the video quality and the pictures that they produce are amazing. And the lines that you see that are going all over the place, the green and the purple and the blues, those are helicopters, THP Metro. And then all of the lines in the middle, when you draw that in, those are our foot searchers. So in the first 2 days, we logged over 2,000 miles of personnel on foot doing searches in those search areas. If you want to go to the next page. So that's day two. And you can see we're continuing to expand those search areas, and you'll see clues, you'll see markers. If a searcher finds something, they mark it. We send a detective or detectives to that scene or to that area. And if they find evidence, we haven't found any evidence. And but if they find something that they think is substantial, CID investigates it. Go on to the next day. That's the next day TBI was back. That second day we had really bad weather with rain. And so these are the rings from TBI again. And they did some almost tri-oval type figures when we were looking at particular areas, and they were looking at streams at that time, and a lot of helicopter, and then more ground troops. And then we got one more day. And then today we're expanding west, and you can see those areas that personnel are searching. And so what we do is we get them in, and we've got an app that they utilize, and they create tracks, and you can see the tracks in those sections as they do the search. And we've got several other things going on. We're utilizing drones, K9, and UTVs, ATVs, horses, aircraft, and anything at our disposal to get Sebastian located.
Like Director Widener said, what you didn't see on there was any drone track. The drones aren't tracked on Sartopo. What you didn't see on there were several assets that didn't have the app that day. So what you're seeing is what we know we have tracked. Like I said, we're operating under the assumption that Sebastian walked off. We have no evidence to disprove that. The family has been nothing but cooperative with law enforcement in our investigation. We are truly operating under the assumption that there's a child missing that needs our help. So if the public is out there and you have a house close by or not close by, right? Check your property twice a day. If you find something, call us. If you have trail cams out on properties that you hunt, check them. If there's an image that you think could be Sebastian, call us. Anything, any tip that you have, call us. We want to bring Sebastian home.
And when the chief says, even if it's not right here, so I actually spoke to the incident commander of a search operation that happened west of here, and a 14-year-old went missing and was found 9 days later, 6.2 miles from home. So we're looking at, we don't want to go out too far, too fast, but even if you live in Davidson County, if you live in Robertson County, if you live anywhere in Sumner County and adjoining counties that you think he could have made it to your property, search those creeks, streams, tributaries, ponds, barns, outbuildings, vacant homes, anything, any place that you think he could be.
One tip, if you're searching your property, is to search it in pairs. If we have aerial assets up and they see someone walking alone through a field, we're going to deploy resources to make sure that is not Sebastian. Secondly, if you're out searching your field and something happens to you, someone needs to be able to call for help and tend to you while we're on the way to help you. So if you're searching, please search in pairs and be safe.
What's the weather been like to possibly affect the search?
Weather, our primary concern with weather is for Sebastian. So the rain that we got and the cold temperatures yesterday and into last night gave us concern for hypothermia. But for rescuers, we put rain gear on when we go. Our mounted people, we're using a lot of tactical officers at night with FLIR or with night vision. And so our search personnel, the weather does not bother them. They go and they're going to perform the search. We're looking at rain tomorrow. The temperature is going to stabilize a little bit. 245 and 17 are feeding us weather on request, and National Weather Service is working with us every day, sending us information if anything changes. So,
Chief, I know you guys had asked for doorbell cam and surveillance camera. Have you guys been able, since Sunday night, Monday morning, been able to actually put eyes on Sebastian? Has any video actually shown him walking?
We have had several clips that have come in. Several of them we've been able to dispel that's not Sebastian on that clip. We are still working every lead that comes in. So as the video comes in, our detectives, we're working really well alongside the TBI and all of our other law enforcement partners in the region to make sure that we're getting on them just as quickly as possible.
But there hasn't been one video that you guys have had that you said that's...
There is not a confirmed sighting of Sebastian on camera.
Gotcha.
Was any of the canines able to pick up on a scent or something that can lead you to maybe a direction where he might have been?
We've done that. We've actually cast the dogs at intersections to see if they take us. And our dogs are scent specific, and we have scent articles from the home, and they have not. We have gotten some tracks away from the home, and we haven't had anything that leads us to Sebastian, obviously.
Just going to stop that there for a second, because that's important. And like I said, I am hot, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's not like I got blush on or anything. Just probably because I got no makeup on, probably, really. Maybe that's the difference. Cheeks are a bit rosier when I don't got makeup on. But anyway, so what I wanted to point out there was that, well, obviously, so the scent, right? Remember when they came out? So there is no scent that led like from the construction site, anything like that. Okay. I remember there's the dog footage where the dogs most of the dogs could barely they couldn't get past the lawn. Okay. So, and the other thing that they said that's important is that there is no footage of Sebastian, right? So that's why a lot of people are like, okay, and this is why Jennifer Coffindaffer had brought this up as well, because her being an ex FBI agent, right, and knowing how, things work or things go, whatever. So why, she's saying, why are they putting out the 26th? So we know that it's the 25th and 26th. So if there's no tracks to go on and there's no sightings of Sebastian, so why are they saying February 26th? Because, like I said, there's nothing. They're saying that there's no footage, there's no scent trail to Sebastian. So again, Melissa, do you think it's one of those things that because Katie had said 12 to 6 and they kind of just ran with that and that's how it ended up on the flyers and it's just been deemed as the 26th? Or do you think that they have something that they know that would more so prove the 26th? What do you think? You guys
Neither. I think they're going for the 20. I think they're saying the 26th because that's when the call came in for the missing person. And then if you add that to Katie's story, I think that's where they're getting the 26th. So kind of a mixture of two things. But I don't think that they have footage because they've stated they don't have footage. But my thing is, even if Katie didn't do it, Katie was the last one with him. So like I've said before, whether or not she realizes it, she could very well have the information and she just doesn't speak for herself. She lets the loudmouth do it. And he is not doing her any favors. When she speaks by herself, I feel bad for her. When he starts talking, it all goes away. It sounds more premeditated when he talks versus her.
And that's exactly that part too, right? Because, and again, it said the live says, "Are we being too hard on the Proudfoots?" Because I remember when Aspen and I were doing a live on this, and Aspen is the one that got shady vibes off of her, and I was like watching her, and I'm like, and I'm feeling genuinely bad for her, right? Like what you exactly said. Like listening to the Duchess at the start. And that's just the thing. The minute Katie Proudfoot or Christopher Proudfoot would talk, he would take away any of those sad feelings of emotions I was feeling, because all of a sudden it's like you're listening to this mother, and as a mother, like I said, you're looking for those tears, those, that real heartfelt emotion coming out. And then because Christopher Proudfoot is really at her side in every conjunction, the minute he even opens his mouth, it's almost like he took away from me even feeling sorry for her anymore, because I'm like, jerk. So Adam actually had a different vibe right away, whereas I had no, look at, she's being genuine. Listen to her. Like, I'm feeling bad here. Like, but that was right at the start, like within those first few interviews. But then honestly, Christopher Proudfoot took away from any of those, that true sadness I was feeling, and I wasn't feeling it no more, because I felt like there was something up with, like, I felt like when I was watching Katie that I wasn't seeing her true self, in a sense, that she wasn't this meek person, that almost like it was coming across like this soft spoken type of female. I just wasn't getting that vibe. So I did feel like there was a different personality than the one that we were seeing. But of course, during the midst of somebody grieving, right, all you're going to see is typically somebody bawling their eyes out, and you start feeling bad for them, and like I said, this whole time, and this is probably where I've gotten more angry about it, because it's like, when you think about how Christopher Proudfoot is, regardless if he had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance or not, I'm just looking at the person as a whole. And are they a POS? Or, like, are they a genuinely caring, type of personality, good stepfather type of thing? And I can't see that. what I see is a commando, a manipulator, a narcissistic, very arrogant, very aggressive, abrasive, uh, rude. Like the way he is spoken in some of these chats, like not like when he's been on the interviews himself. It's kind of like it's like remember there's that one live, I think it was on Smiley's World, and he was like, "Come on, like give me the hard questions. You said you want to answer hard questions." And there was no hard question that actually I think that came after that, really. But it was like, come on, you guys. And you're just thinking, like, who talks like that? Who acts like that? When a child is missing and you're acting like, come on, give me your best shots. Let's go. Come and have it. And to go along with everything that has been perceived. So I try to think, I try to take that away. But at the end of the day, I get angry because, so Katie Proudfoot, so you're okay, obviously, with the fact of the shit that Christopher has. You have the knowledge about him, of certain things. That your marriage is about to, basically go to the shits because he doesn't want to have to deal with your problems and Sebastian's problems. And yet you love this man. And, and even on Nancy Grace, right? Like I had said, when Nancy Grace asked about the belt, about hitting Sebastian type of thing, right? Katie Proudfoot went to jump to his defense right away, instantly. That says a lot right there, right? So normally Katie hides behind Chris, and so normally Chris takes over Katie. But at that moment, with Chris being whatever, Katie jumped in. And that's when Nancy's like, I'm talking to Chris. I'm talking to Chris. Not you, Katie. I'm talking to Chris. And I really commended Nancy Grace for doing that. But when you see those things that, so you're all hiding behind Chris, and all of a sudden now you're coming to defend him. So it's almost like someone caring more about him than our own child. And then when you think about what Seth has said about Katie, right? About that, and about caring more about her own child. Like we heard Seth say, well, no, sorry. That was on the one where Donna Serafina was saying things that Seth had said during their conversation together. So close enough. And saying how, Katie would piss on the bed, that she would get angry, aggressive, violent, basically. And, like that she was not this nice person. And it was a whole different portrayal. And then that's when Donna Serafina kind of also went into about, how Christopher Proudfoot had told Seth that basically that their marriage was pretty much at its end, that, didn't want to deal with all this stuff, or however he would have worded it to say Chris. And so, yeah. And, Chris was wanting his daughter back, and he was wanting the little monster Sebastian out of his way, right? Like he didn't want him there. But is that enough to say that if the child is going to go to Seth, right? And if Sebastian is causing these issues between their marriage, why would she need to do anything about that if he's going to go to his dad's anyway? So that part doesn't make sense with the whole, well, if I can't have him, you can't have him thing. Because if she's not this big, deep caring person about her child per se, but, like, ooh, I made pancakes. Yay. I'm a good mom, so that doesn't make sense to me. It's hard to make sense of only certain facts that we have, but it doesn't make sense that Katie or Christopher are, well, hey, you know what? Let's get rid of this child, put all this, light and focus on us, when they could have just really handed him over to Seth in the next couple months.
But Sonny, him going to Seth's does not clear up the CPS reports.
No. So
Sebastian going missing or dying does.
Yeah.
That's where I get the, if I can't have him, you can't, because she doesn't want him going to Seth and talking about what's going on in the home. That, you know what I mean? Like, she stood by him. She knew that there were 5 CPS reports. She knew that Christopher Proudfoot was hitting her autistic child, and she was doing nothing about it. So Sebastian going to Seth soon only speeds up the timeline in my mind of, we can't let that happen, because if he talks, you're not getting your daughter. And this isn't going to clear up anything for us. And when I say I felt bad for her at first, I did. But it wasn't just Christopher Proudfoot talking for her that changed my mind on that. Her standing by him with the CPS reports, her defending him, that has changed my mind on her. Not just Christopher Proudfoot, but her own actions and her own words now have also changed my mind on whether or not she feels bad or whether or not it's genuine.
But so speak to me again why you feel like she would say, if you can't have him, I mean, if I can't have him, you can't have him. What did you say your main reason for that was?
Okay, so
Like, I know you said the CPS
if I
and
have
all
my
that.
child,
Yeah.
if I have my child, right, I can control what they're saying. To some extent, okay. I can say, don't repeat this outside the home. What happens at mom's home stays at mom's home. What happens at dad's home stays at dad's home. Keep them separate, especially if you don't get along with your ex, right? So she knew that Sebastian was going to soon be moving in with Seth. She knew she would no longer be able to control, in my mind, what he was going to divulge about what was going on in the home. So for me, this is how it makes sense in my head, is if she knew she wasn't going to be able to control what he was saying to Seth, right? And she knew that some of the things he was going to say to Seth was going to hurt Christopher Proudfoot getting his daughter or hurt their marriage, then she's going to be like, if I can't control him, nope, you can't have him, because I cannot take the chance of him spilling something that doesn't need to be out there.
Okay. But make this make sense to me on this. Seth has already said, by Seth's mouth himself, when asked about if Sebastian had said anything like that, he said no, like meaning Sebastian hadn't told him anything bad that was going on or happening in the house, he said, in the home, right? So you would think that Seth would have come back perhaps with an answer that said, yes, Sebastian, he wasn't overly happy being there. He had told me so many times. But Seth said that there's nothing that was said. Now, by the same token, you do have Grandma Rogers, which is Robin Rogers, that had been in our chat, that was, and you guys all know at some point that she basically said that she should have went to the police with the information that Sebastian had said to her, right? Meaning, and everyone was like, what do you mean? Like, if he's telling you stuff, say about Christopher or whatever, why wouldn't you have gone then to the police? Like, why are you telling?
But none of that matters.
Huh?
None of that matters, and I'll tell you why. She's bipolar, according to Seth, I believe it was, that she is a bipolar person, right? And she drinks. So in her mind, she doesn't have to have hard proof of Sebastian is going to say something or has said something, because in her mind, there's the possibility that he might.
Thanks, Jake. Okay, let me just ask you. Just to ask you guys, like who agrees with kind of Melissa's scenario on that? Just curious in chat. Just put yes, no, basic answers. This is crushing. It is heartbreaking. I'm just curious because I'm not convinced about that part at all. About that if you can't have like I can understand it when it's a really crazy dynamic between mom and father, and they're like cats and dogs at each other and stuff like that, and those cases that things like that do happen. But I'm not feeling that in this case. When a child is about to go there, I don't see that you're literally going to take this child's life when he's about to go to his father's, all because you don't like what he's going to say, when yet he had the opportunity to say things already. But according to Seth, he's never said anything. That I deem that as strange. So if Sebastian's life was so bad and he hated it there so much, and you would think that he would have told his father something. But Seth said there's nothing. So that's why that doesn't make sense to me. Because if Seth would have said something different than that yes, Sebastian, hated it there, hated his stepdad, if he would have came out saying that. Now, I'm just going by what Seth has said. And Seth has always been pretty truthful, but yet he's not going to give you everything underneath the sun of information. But trust me, with this dynamic between him and Christopher Proudfoot, I'm pretty sure he would have, if Sebastian would have said something, he would have put it out there. But there hasn't been anything. So that's why it's strange to me. And that's why, again, are we being too hard on the Proudfoots? Because every time I look at a situation, if I was to look at one situation the most, regardless of a Christopher Proudfoot or Seth Rogers, the one person to me that has the biggest motive for Sebastian's disappearance, based on the things that we heard, would be Katie. That Katie had reasonable cause to want to have her son disappear, regardless of him going to SAS. Is that if she felt that Sebastian was destroying her life, she was sick of him, tired. Like, what I'm picturing is this. I'm picturing a very depressed person that not only is her marriage failing, she's probably, and she obviously, whether she still does or not, she obviously had alcohol problems. And she might still to this day, for all we know. Now, it's one of those things. Katie, like a lot of people, what you see on the outside isn't necessarily what you see on the inside of somebody. Someone can see me smiling all day long and think I'm this happy-go-lucky person. And I am. But there's times that I've been in very bad spots where you wouldn't know it, But, like I said, all these depressive thoughts, or that feeling like life sucks and stuff like that, and blah, I'd rather be dead stuff. You never know what somebody's thinking, is what I'm trying to say there. So, looks like Melissa's having some issues. 1 second here. Put my banner back on. I'm feeling naked. Let's do that. Okay. Yeah, she was having a couple issues yesterday. It's obviously her internet connection, but let me go back to comments here and see what you guys are saying, because that's kind of what this live is about your guys' thoughts on things. Okay. Welcome back, Missy. Now let's see.
I got booted again. That's the second night in a row.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I'm just trying to go back through chat. What's this saying? Okay, we aren't judging unless we straight out said they did it. Their actions are suspicious. Their actions are suspicious. I still call that judging myself, because we're judging by what we're seeing, right? Doesn't mean to say that they did it, but we're judging by what we're seeing on why we think that Katie or Christopher or both had something to do with the disappearance of Sebastian. But not like it's 100%. Okay, let's see here. Now earlier, Miss Persevered said, "I'm assessive PFs as PFs as the next person, but I go back and forth. Something tells me Sebastian was taken, and remember, PF safety was a concern, so maybe they had to leave. I think that we can talk about when they went up in the trailer and Katie went with them. I'm not saying that it might not have been a concern. Why don't they have security cameras on their home?
I think their safety would be a
Did
concern because of the amount of attention that this generated. So I can see them leaving for safety concerns, but I don't know how to feel about that one.
Well, I'm just stumped that they didn't have any cameras. And I think if they had some up and took them down prior, that a neighbor would have noticed and said something. You would have thought. That
They
doesn't mean it
did
didn't.
have. They had a Brinks home security camera, and I would have to go back and find out when, but they actually canceled their Brinks home security camera right before this happened.
Who said that? Who said that?
Let me go back and see if I can find it.
Yeah, because some people have said that Christopher Proudfoot said that they like on camera, Sebastian would sneak and get snacks. But I went back to that live and I could never find it. And I went through the whole thing of that through the texting of it, like meaning, are they scripted afterwards? I wish Katie would put some videos of her and Sebastian. The one she did release at the birthday party, I saw a loving mom and a son. I know that's what bugs me is when I'm seeing these good mom moment things, and that's when I'm like, oh, poor Katie. And then Christopher Proudfoot, somehow makes it in there somewhere. And it's like, oh, I'm not buying it anymore. I have a problem with Seth being a photographer and no one will listen. Yeah, the email's up top there in the corner. crimingshame@gmail.com. Diamond. One second. Yeah, I gotta check my email. Actually, I haven't checked it in at least a few days. The three all got along prior to him going missing. If anything, they wanted him to go, and maybe Seth didn't want full responsibility. Both scenarios seem unlikely. Yeah, like it's not that they all three got along. It's that Chris and him had a talking relationship, a good relationship. Seth barely ever spoke to Katie because him and Katie didn't really get along per se. And so the relationship was more that because like how Christopher Proudfoot, he thinks it's unique, but it's because of the fact of him and Seth having a good relationship, nice talking relationship. Whereas Katie wasn't really in the picture. Seth never really spoke to Katie, and Katie never spoke to Seth. So there was that animosity there, but they worked, like they were working it out with Sebastian type of thing. I'm not sure if I believe it, but I see what you're saying. Like if you went to live full time with Seth, he may get more comfortable and start talking without feeling I'm safe now and don't have to go back. That's the mama that OG. Thanks, mama. Diamond, I'm a physician. My first career was in fine arts. This doesn't negate my medical career whatsoever. Boom. On there, let's see. Once feeling safe, he may tell more. And true enough, obviously, according to Robin Rogers, right? Seth's mom, Sebastian's grandma, apparently she has seems to have dirt that Sebastian told her on whatever information it was, to be honest, but obviously about his home life or what was going on with Christopher and stuff like that. You know, Robin
Okay, I
Rogers.
found it.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Okay. So, according to At Night has learned that the Proudfoot home is currently undergoing preparations for sale, potentially through private channels. With termination of their Brinks home security footage, it's been confirmed that the residence has terminated its home security footage through Brinks service and did not have active coverage during this critical time frame.
Wait, that was recently. I remember that. I remember seeing that recently somewhere. Where are you reading that from? Getting that from?
It is from the Justice for Sebastian. It's within the Justice for Sebastian Rogers Facebook group.
And it's just some person that's posting it? Or is it a neighbor? Can you send me that?
Let me. I was gonna say, let me just screenshot it and I'll send it to you, and then
because I remember looking at it, but I didn't like overly look at it, get into it, because I'm like, well, ain't no cameras on the house, but yeah, everyone found it really strange because, you know, here she works for Brinks and everybody else has these Ring doorbell cams and they have an autistic child living there that usually they end up in water, and they weren't worried enough to have cameras or the motion detectors to go off, you know, in case he did leave. I find that so strange. They had ADT, I believe, but it wasn't active.
Okay, send it to you.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, that was from At Night. That's obviously where I read it from. Okay. Because I was just looking at that the other night. That's why. We'll take a look at that. Where did it go? Where did it go? I literally thought I just saved it. Maybe I didn't. I think I just looked at it but didn't save it. There it is. Okay. Present. Share screen. Hey. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. Time goes by freaking fast. Okay. Right. So it's January 1st. January 3rd, 2009, At Night Private Testimony has identified new developments pertaining to the Proudfoot resident, which remains a central focus. Keep and Scoop Proudfoot resident for sale. At Night has learned that Proudfoot home is currently undergoing preparations for sale, potentially through the private termination of the Brinks home security. It has been confirmed that the residence has terminated Brinks home, and it did not have active coverage during critical time frames. Well, you know, we'll see what Nick the Hat and At Night and that come up with in regards to this case, because something needs to break open, eh? Something needs to break open in this case. Thanks for sending that. That's where I saw it, because I was reading that the other day, and it's when I was scrolling down At Night stuff on Twitter that all that stuff was there. Okay. Can you take over for a second, Mithy?
Okay.
Thank you.
So I don't know. That just seems suspicious to me. I mean, but then again, were they planning on selling the home before Sebastian went missing? And that's how or why they terminated it. I don't know. I just find it suspicious that they weren't out of the home yet, and they terminated their service. They didn't transfer it. Like a cable service, you would think you would just transfer it to your new home, right? So why cancel it completely right before your son goes missing? It very well could be a coincidence. It very well could. But to me, it seems like it's a little suspicious. Carolyn said, never saw that, however, would say as a fine artist, I've drawn my fair share. Oh my. Okay, I'm not gonna finish reading that. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that it's suspicious that they canceled the service, the home security service, before? Yeah, wasn't that Christopher Proudfoot that did something with his phone? I don't. I remember vaguely something about their phones, but I don't remember exactly what. So I don't know. Just to me, that seems a little off. But it's like so many things in this case that seem off, that don't make a whole lot of sense. But, you know, at nights, who brought us the Texas Roadhouse footage? So I tend to believe what they say. Yes, exactly. It is sus, and so much sus is going on. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Thank you for the super chat. Sunny will say it when she gets back on as well, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, just give me another second.
It's odd, especially since you would think Katie Proudfoot would get a great employee price, right? I mean, you work for Brinks, so you know you're most likely getting a discount. So why terminate it? Why, you know, if you worked for Brinks, you would think that she would know she could just transfer it. So again, why terminate it as opposed to transferring it to wherever you're going? Why terminate it right before your check goes missing? I mean, even if it was months before, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say right before, but even if it's months before, why? I'd be interested in hearing an explanation for that, and it may be nothing, but I'd be interested in hearing her explanation for that, because in all the interviews, I don't ever remember hearing her say, well, we had footage, but we let it lapse, or we had footage, but we didn't need it anymore, so we turned it off, or anything like that. It was just nothing. So that just doesn't seem right to me.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Carol, for the $2 super chat. Thank you. I'm not sharing that with you whatsoever, Melissa. You don't get any of it. Greedy.
That's fine with me.
Hold on. YouTube takes its cut, which is 30%. Yeah. Nope. YouTube's like a criminal.
So you get like $1.40 out of that?
Your mathing sucks.
No.
Your math just doesn't math. That's
Yeah, I know it does.
Actually, what is that? Actually, 30%. That's $6 off. Nope, 60 cents. You're right.
That'd be
Oh my God.
$1.40.
My math doesn't math.
$1.40.
I say you're right.
I was saying it wouldn't surprise me if my math isn't mathing.
You know what? My math
30% is 30 cents.
All right, let's give it back. On there. Just kidding, of course, Carolyn. But yeah, no, YouTube, they take 30% of super chat. So whenever you see those people donating like $100, I'm just like, whoop, there's $30 gone, just like that. That is what it is. That's the partnership.
Send it through PayPal, Venmo.
Eh?
I mean, I don't know. But I guess if you're getting, you know, like $100 and $50 and all that repetitively, I guess it wouldn't matter. But me, I'd be like, no, I want the whole thing. Give it here. That was given to me, not you, YouTube.
What I love is when some YouTubers that have a lot of subscribers and whatever, like, you know, like some of them say like, you know, like YouTube, you know, we don't get that much. Come come on, you're literally raking in thousands, and you're acting like that's like you're not getting much. Come on now, it's literally paying your house bills, all your bills, plus your new car and mortgage and stuff like that. Shut up. Hey, but anyways, I don't know. Kind of going through my head if I want, because this live is only going to be an hour long. Oh, let's reiterate what live. Let's reiterate what live we're going to be doing on Saturday again for people that follow the Elizabeth and Lyric case.
I want to go back to Mrs. Purse's comment real quick
Oh.
before we do that. She said,
Okay.
you'd think it would be almost mandatory with an employee driving a brink truck home. Exactly. So why terminate your service when you have a company vehicle at your home? Like, you would think that they would want, in case the vehicle was broke into or whatever, you would think that that would be mandatory.
But the thing is that, okay, but did they get the brinks after Sebastian's or before it? Like, I mean, it does say, and did not have active coverage during critical time frames.
Because they terminated it. So they terminated it before Sebastian went missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I will be curious about that. Like the one that's always kind of bugged me is that on Smiley's World, there was a live, and I went back to it because people kept saying that Christopher said that they would see him on camera taking snacks. Now, I don't know if that just became one of those things that somebody thought that they heard him say that, because I went back to that live and over again, was trying to find in the script, if it was said, and just could not find anywhere. It's like watching the same thing over. And I'm like, where did somebody get this from? Because it's literally not here. And it was the live to go back and listen to. And I'm just like, but it's not there. But yet I've seen people say it. And it just reminds me, if it's one of those tell this person, then they hear it, then they say it's kind of like the 3-hour thing. Once somebody hears that it was a 3-hour phone call, or like Jennifer with the 3:10 time, she heard it because she remembers that time because of Nick Barris saying it, right? And sometimes, so most people will say 3:11, but right, anyone that knows from Nick Barris might have that time in their head, whereas I only had the 3:11. So it's one of those things. I just wonder if it was misconstrued wrong, and then it just got passed around the internet, like the 3-hour phone call. That's only a 2-hour phone call. So yeah, it just, because if that was said, it's only because, especially because I was working on the timeline and stuff like that, right? So obviously that's going to make a difference if there's a camera, because I just remember being confused, because at one time Christopher Proudfoot said, no, they didn't. And then I distinctly remember at another time he said, yes. And then I was like so confused. So that's why that one bugged me when somebody said that and I couldn't go back and find it, is because I remember he contradicted himself about that. And so it was always bugging me. And that's hence when that comment came up. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I specifically remember, and maybe I'm making things up in my head, but I feel like I remember somebody asking, did they have home security footage? And he said no. But it wasn't, we don't anymore. We used to. So I guess maybe he would just say no, but I feel like they would have said we used to and we don't anymore.
But there was another time when he was asked and he said yes. And that's why I was confused. The first time I heard him say it was yes. And then after that, it was like no. And I was like, okay, so did he misunderstand the question when he was asked that? Like, why did he say yes then? Was he answering to the question? Like, it was just when you're trying to make excuses for perhaps why he said yes, in a sense. But knowing Christopher Proudfoot now, can't believe anything he says at all.
And it's just another one of those, we need an explanation from them. And it's not that we want an explanation. We don't need one. Law enforcement needs information. We want an information. And I just feel like they should come out and say, yes, we had it, but blah, blah, blah. We don't need it. We didn't need it. We were going to move. Were they planning on selling their house?
That's not how
But then
Christopher
again, why
Proud.
not transfer it? I just feel like they should come out and say
Can
something.
you imagine though? Like honestly, I mean, can you imagine though if your child's missing, it's still under a year, and you're plopping your house up for sale? Yeah. Carolyn's feeding that's yeah. I'm amazed she. Here's another to cover YouTube fees. You're gonna have to up the ante on that one. YouTube fees are definitely well over the $150, for the different things you have to use on there. Well, StreamYard in itself, and it's only was because I was going to quit on them. Couldn't believe the little sap suckers charging $67 American. Anyways, thank you, Carolyn.
Okay, so yeah, we got to wrap this one up.
Only because I have to work at 8 tomorrow, and then I'm off. I go work 8 to 4 tomorrow. Today I worked like 9:30 to 5:30, and then I had to go out, and then I had a phone call, and then Sunny, buy me a coffee. Don't take any. Sunny's, yeah, send me. Oh, that's true enough, right? There's always the reason why, just so people know this, of course, and I think most people do by now, but the reason why most people have their PayPals, their Venmos, their Buy Me a Coffees is because, like, for instance, if somebody donates $5 on Buy Me a Coffee, like to say buy a coffee, they literally take like 25 cents, right? Whereas YouTube takes 30%. That's why you'll always see people, because just like PayPal and stuff like that, like they take very, very little, but YouTube will take 30%. That's why people always have that. So that's right. Sunny, do you have a Cash App? No, I'm Canadian. We don't have Cash App or Venmo. I wish we did.
Really?
Yeah. Right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think it's stupid. I don't understand why we don't have those either. But we don't have Venmo or Cash App here in Canada. I've looked at it because I don't understand why we don't. We should, but looks like it's just like you guys over there, hogging all the programs, and then wait till Trump takes over. Then he's going to put his 25% tariffs on us. He's going to piss off Canada even more. But anyways, yeah, you know what? This was just more of an impromptu live. But again, say about what we're going to be doing on Saturday.
So Saturday, I'm going to be live with Sunny, and we're going to be covering the Evansdale case. That's the case of Lyric and Elizabeth that went missing in Iowa and were later found unalived. And we're just going to go through that case. I've been in contact with one of the parents in connection with this. They've seen it all, and they've given their green light for all the information to come out. So at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my time, 2 o'clock Sunny's time, we're going to go live Saturday and do a discussion on Evansdale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because, like I said, it's a case that I've peeked at. I know about. I was diving into it, but again, I was kind of like, I'm not usually a couple case type of person. It's like when I'm stuck on doing one, then it's hard. Like when it's a bigger case, if it's just covering a new case that's coming out different, type of thing. Yeah, we have PayPal. Of course, we have PayPal. I only put up the coffee one though tonight. Sometimes I put up both, but yeah, of course we have PayPal. But what I was going to say quickly too is, so just for the poll, 85% feel like, so are we being too hard on the Proudfoots? I don't think any of us have all these big reasons why to not look at them, to be honest, but I mean, there are some, but I think more ways towards looking at them, at least because of no other information, and Katie was the last one with Sebastian. But anyways, so yes, so are we being too hard on the Proudfoots? 9% said yes, 85% said no, 6% say I feel like a flip-flopping fish, and 0% believe it's third party. That kind of says a lot though. 0% feel like it's third party. 0%.
I mean, that does say a lot to me. I mean, I would expect at least one person to say, oh, maybe third party. But for nobody to say that, yeah, it is a little striking.
Yeah. This case just hurts my brain. I know it hurts your guys' brain too. I don't know that we'll ever get the answers unless there's some breaking information in the case. And so we got to pray that does happen with Sebastian and among the other cases that are out there, of course, right? All you want is justice for the victims. You just want whoever did the crime to do the time, and justice to be served. And still, because there's nothing to show that Sebastian isn't alive, there's nothing to show that he isn't either. But, let's hold out hope on the positive side until something tells us differently. Even if we might feel that years come by and the likelihood, we'll put out positive vibes that somewhere, someplace, that some family member decided that they were going to tuck Sebastian away for the better of the good, or some whack job or whatever. Anyways, just prayers for Sebastian. God, this case, it just, the lack of information is amazing in this day and age in technology. Great channel. Thank Batgirl. Everyone here is very nice. It's so refreshing to be able to have a discussion exploring all possible angles in this case. Oh my goodness. Not that your thing is boring me. I just had a yawn there with no bashing and feeling attacked. Thank you. Yeah. Although I do apologize for the other live, the one that I turned to members and then the one that I now deleted. I just, like I said, this channel has always maintained, really nice, caring, decent people and good conversations in it with respect and stuff like that. It was just, I guess it's one of those things that you're trying to put out information and then you're looking at chat, you're watching people sit there and basically say that, oh, I can't stand watching her now, like after she said this and that and stuff like that. And then it just honestly, what rubs me always the wrong way is just how rude people can be, type of thing. And then of course now I'm going to be rude back because I'm like, but it's the rudeness that always will get me, and how people talk. And when you're sitting there watching your stream or talking, and then you see these people come in, that speak so ignorantly behind a computer, sometimes it does get it. Yeah, like not like it impacts my life, but it does get it. Yeah. So in the moment, it was just like, it's just like, what the problem is here is that, like Sebastian's case, especially when it comes to that flashlight video, garbage truck video, that definitely is one of the hotter topics of this case, and to be honest with you, thing was that flashlight video, it kind of died, right? Like it kind of died after, it'd been out for a while, kind of died. And then it would seem to be like revamped up and then people like dissecting it again more. And I get it. If you got nothing to go on and there's only one glimmer of hope that something about that video is telling to what happened to Sebastian, I get it. If people want to hold on to hope of that, because if you take that out of the equation, you have nothing. And the only thing you do have is Sebastian at home and no answers to why he disappeared if there's nothing to show. So that's the one piece that people kind of want to hold on to regardless of its, whether it's a flashlight, garbage truck or whatever, is that one piece of information that people feel has the answers in it, or possible answers, you know. Um, and for me personally, I just like to know the truth. And same with Jennifer, Coffin Daffer, and I know that even Mob Crew, like I said, don't watch the dude hardly ever, but I get it because of the Delphi case, that he's dissecting it, and that he does what I typically do, dissect it. You're just trying to put out there what you believe to be true, to the best of your abilities. Um, and but yet by the end of the day, you just want I just want the facts. I don't I don't care what the stuff is, as long as it's the true facts of the case. Because again, to me, if you're holding on to hope and it has nothing to do with it, like, I couldn't, for me, I just can't ride off of something, in a sense, like, meaning, what I'm saying is, if something is not true, and I'm not talking about that video in particular, I'm just talking about in general, and then there's channels that just ride off of it, knowing full well they know they're putting out false information, but they know it's giving them clicks and views. Now I'm not specifically talking about this video at all. I'm just saying in general, and I see it all the time. So for me, I just like the facts. I will never sit there and purposely ride off of people, just to get them to come into a live, just to benefit my pocketbook or something like that. It's just with the genuine intent. And those are the creators and people in my life, ones that I respect, because to me, if you're, truly caring about cases and people, like, obviously, bills need to get paid by people, and people do this for a living on YouTube and stuff like that. And it helps. And it's a nice gesture from, very generous souls out there to, give their money to someone on the internet and stuff like that, because they maybe like that person, appreciate the content, know that they worked hard to do the content and stuff like that, so those are things that are very sweet when people do stuff like that, for sure. But never for it to be a purpose to do a live, to go, what, if I don't do a live, I'm not going to get that $5 today, or $30 or $100 or $1,000 and stuff like that today. So it's just the genuineness of wanting to know the truth, following cases truly for the justice of it, and not milking it, but yet still wanting to put the awareness of the case out there. Because if it wasn't for people and creators and news that didn't do that, it really sucks for families that don't get attention to their cases. So it is rewarding in the heart to know that you have some sort of small impact of at least minimal, bringing awareness to the case. And all you have to do is just share a post once or twice, whatever, but you're still doing something. Something is better than nothing. Katie needs to tell the truth and get herself a deal before CP does a number on her. We'll see if that happens, Patricia? Yeah. Good night, guys. When folks are rude to someone with a very sharp tongue, it makes me laugh. Hello, lovely. Sunny, you look fabulous, my dear friend. Yeah? So on my worst day, I look fabulous. You're an amazing friend then. Thank you. Batgirl. Yeah, it's a crime and shame, 100%. Yeah. Anyways, Melissa, what's your last thoughts before we head off, of course? And don't forget green for Sebastian, guys.
I mean, just Sebastian, honey, come home if you're out there and can hear this. And if not, and if you are not alive, come to me in my dreams and we'll figure this out for you.
Doesn't it suck when it feels like creators, like over the Proudfoots, are asking for more help to find Sebastian than what's coming from them publicly?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the public is looking for Sebastian harder than the Proudfoots are.
I agree. In all fairness to the title of this live before we get going, are we being too hard on the Proudfoots? My firm answer is yes, I care about people's feelings, but in saying that, even if they had nothing to do with Sebastian's disappearance, it will be a frosty day in hell before I would ever act or be so untransparent and be such, and then have such a hole of a husband beside me that's been married 5 times, has CPS reports to match his marriages. And, so just as humans of what we would naturally do, um, honestly, they're just unlikable between the two of them. If Katie was by herself, it would be a different story. I think a lot more people would have been in her corner, more so. But when you got, a hole there, that's basically like a puppeteer, it's really hard to overlook what Katie sees in him, let alone, it makes you wonder with certain information like, well, did you do something, Katie? Because, because you're putting your marriage over him, you know, or did you not do nothing? But I just think that it's really hard for me to come up with too many things about like not being hard on them anymore, because I just think it's a joke how, as parents, Christopher Proudfoot, I don't expect a ton out of him besides a mouth, that, bowl liquor shit, toilet bowl liquor. But anyway, but as for Katie, I just would have expected more from a mother. And I'm sorry, I will judge because it's your child. Your child's supposed to mean everything and anything to you. And you will put yourself in the background so that you can bring your son and to light and to hide. I don't care. It's your son. Like, this is your child. If you so deeply love your child, you don't even have to think about doing what's right. You automatically are like, let me tell anyone who will listen, please help find Sebastian. Da da da. Not sitting there hiding, like a wuss cat behind Christopher all the time and letting him take control. He himself destroyed any sort of popularity. And there's a lot of ass kissers of Katie and Christopher Proudfoot, like, meaning even if you took away anything to do with Sebastian, there's a lot of ass kissers of Christopher Proudfoot. What are you so proud of? The 5 CPS reports, the way that he treated Sebastian with some of his military style, things that he did with spanking him with a belt and stuff like that. Because why? Because he lied about not taking his belt. So you're going to spank him with the belt because, the punishment corporal has to fit the crime. I could go on. Anyway. All right. And right. So many people see that. We all can't be stupid, right? This many people in the world can't be stupid. Anyways, you guys, definitely see you Friday. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not, but definitely Friday. So you guys take care. Thank you again, Carolyn, for your 2 super chats. Very much appreciated. And thank you, Moz. Thank you, Sharon. And Steffa, not so sure about you still. You're, I'm still undecided on you. Melissa, thank you so much. Melissa, you guys, I know has a lot of stuff to work on with the Lyric and Elizabeth show. So like I said, I'll be streaming it from here as well. I'll be on Melissa's channel, but I'll be streaming it to It's a Crime and Shame. So hopefully you guys can make it for that mysterious case as well about those 2 poor girls that lost their lives. No, I don't. Stop claiming I do, stalker. No. Anyways, guys, you guys have a great night. Take care. Right, Melissa?
Yep. Everybody take care. And if I don't see you before, I will see you on Saturday.
Yeah. Prayers for Sebastian. Take care, guys. I just got to find my media. Are you ready? Hold on.
Yep.
Maybe you want to see this. Want me to rickroll? Oh, psych, we're not leaving. Rickroll. Just kidding. Where's my outro? Gotta find my outro. All right, here we go. Ready? Ready?